Want to go?
Oh, there we are. All right.
All right, baby. We're live. Insider betting is back. Jesse, how you doing, brother?
Doing great. Just got over that press conference, so we're fresh. We have some fresh thoughts coming out of that. So,
Yeah.
I'm more excited for it than I was before, even though I was really excited. But that was kind of a weird but fun press conference. So I'm excited.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Sean Strickland and Paulo Costa stuff. I enjoyed Islam and Dustin going back at it even more.
Yeah.
So.
Little unexpected. I mean, because it was kind of like tame. It was just them kind of like taking little jabs at each other. And then I think Dustin called him a mother effer. And I think Islam really took offense to it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a religion thing or what it was, but he was not happy about it. Let me put it that way. He was not.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's a religion thing. It might be like a language barrier thing, where he takes it very literally. So,
well, yeah. I saw a comment in our on our Instagram. Somebody was saying that it's like when Daniel Cormier gave Habib a pair of sunglasses, and then he's like, "You want to wear my sunglasses?" And Habib says, "Oh, you have a son?" So they might literally have they might literally very much take it literally. So you might be right about that.
But anyway, UFC 302 coming down a couple days from now, Saturday night in New Jersey. I am super excited for it. We're going to go into the main card right away here. There are a couple notable fights on the prelims. More importantly, one got moved down from the main card down to the prelims. So the Gelton Almeida and Alexander Romanov fight is going to be a prelim, and the Nico Price and Alex Moreno fight is my apologies, is going to be in the main card. So to start with the prelims first, we got Phil Rowe versus Jake Matthews. Rowe is coming off of a loss to Neil Magny. Jake Matthews is also coming off of a loss. He is 2 in his last 5, while Phil Rowe is 3 in his last 5. Neither have been on a hot run. Jesse, what are your thoughts on the fight?
I'm going for Rowe, bro. I'm going for Rowe. Let's go. Wait, we should hold on. Hold on. We should add our names to the screen. How do we do that?
Oh, nice. I'm not too sure.
I forget how we added our names, but how do we? Whatever. Anyways, yeah. I would have picked Phil Rowe anyway. What are the odds? Do you have them?
Yeah, so the odds are plus 136 for Rowe and minus 162 for Jake Matthews. So Matthews is the favorite.
Yeah, I thought Phil Rowe should have beat Neil Magny. That was a really weird fight when they fought. It was like just a really boring fight. There wasn't not a lot of damage was inflicted in that fight, but I thought Rowe actually had like a pretty good. I think he should have won, I guess is the way I would put it, because I feel like Magny left so many openings. I think Rowe will bounce back, but I gotta admit I didn't do a lot, so I'm not going to bet on this one. I said I think if I have to pick, I'd pick Rowe, but I'm not going to bet on it. It's too close, but also I just don't. I don't know. I don't know enough to give anybody like a legitimate opinion on this one, but I thought Rowe should have beat Magny, so I'll put it that way. That's why I'm taking Rowe.
Nice. Yeah, I think that Rowe is the better fighter. But yeah, that split decision loss is a little tough. He is I'm gonna take Rowe as well, but I'm also not gonna bet on it. I think it's gonna be a close one. But next up we got Grant Dawson versus Joe Selecki. Grant, he was on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I think he commented on the Dustin Poirier fight that went not viral, but it got some views. So that was a good one there. But he is minus 410, I believe. Sorry, he's minus 500. The odds have changed. While Selecki here is plus 380. What are your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, Selecki is coming off of a pretty brutal knockout. He's the guy that got head slammed by it was Cody. No, it wasn't Cody Burnett. Drakkar Close. I think it was Close.
It was a bizarre knockout. He picked him up and dropped him down and knocked him out because his temple, I guess, hit the mat. It was one of the most bizarre knockouts that I've seen.
Is your volume on? Do you have the YouTube on by any chance?
No.
Okay, I'm getting an echo whenever I talk. So that was him. He got head slammed by Drakkar Close, and it was pretty brutal. Grant Dawson was like a pretty heavy favorite when he fought Bobby Green. So that was, I think this is the first time he's fought since he got knocked out, right? By Bobby.
Correct.
Yeah. And that was pretty shocking. I think he was a heavy favorite in that fight. I think this is Grant Dawson's fight to lose. I think that in the interview, he spoke to Mike Owens, and he was saying that he doesn't see, because I'm sorry, who's he fighting? Selecki.
Selecki
Really wants to take this fight to the ground, but Grant Dawson's like a really good wrestler, and he just doesn't. He said he doesn't see a scenario where any time that he gets taken down, he's not going to be able to get back up. And I kind of agree with him. I think that if that fight goes anywhere in that direction, it really favors Dawson. And I think Dawson was literally like 1 or 2 fights away from being in the title picture. I think this is just like, figure out where you're at, kid. Like, are you going to compete or are you not? I like Dawson in this fight. I'd bet pretty comfortably with him, but the money line's pretty bad. So I think I'd take Dawson by decision, if I'm being honest, but I don't know the odds on that. Do you have the odds on that?
Pulled up live, no, but I agree with everything you were saying. Selecki, he's got great BJJ, but I think that Dawson's grappling is just overall better. Grant by decision is actually -120. So that's some odds there.
Yeah, and he's a what on the money line?
He's -500 on the money line.
Yeah, decision. Because I do think Selecki and him are going to grapple and they're going to grind it out on the ground. I think that there's obviously submission threat here, but I like decision. I think Grant will just kind of control the fight.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. On paper, they're like basically the same fighter.
But I think Dawson has title aspirations, like real title aspirations.
One thing important to know that Dawson was on a 12-fight win streak. There was a draw in there, but he was on a 12-fight win streak before his loss to Bobby Green, which he got knocked out in 30 seconds there. He stayed up on his feet too long. Should have tried to grapple sooner.
Yeah, well, if there is such a thing as like fluky knockout, when you say like fighters get lucky in fights, it's lucky knockout. That was one of them. Like Bobby Green obviously has hands. It's not lucky that he won. It's not lucky that he won. It's unlucky that Grant lost that way, I guess is kind of the way I would put it. So I think that we can kind of just throw it out and move on. I think that's kind of what his mindset is at. And I think he's going to be fine. Yeah.
And then we'll kind of skip to the final fight on the prelim here before we get onto the main card. If you're in here, feel free to leave some comments. Hey guys, how you doing? Sahib, appreciate you joining in, brother. But feel free to leave a comment. We'll shout you guys out. But anyway, Jailton Almeida versus Alexander Romanov got moved from the main card into the prelims. He is a pretty heavy favorite, I believe. Still, when I last checked, he was -270. He's jumped up to -310, while Romanov is +250. I think when it comes to this fight, it really depends on how Romanov weighs in tomorrow. He's come in a little bigger past couple fights.
Would he not make 270 or whatever the weight limit is? Would he not make
no, he made the weight, but he was looking a little chunky. He didn't look like he was in full shape. But yeah, Jailton averages almost 7 takedowns per fight. His loss to Curtis Blades, although it was a great TKO by Curtis, it was one of those things where for some reason, not for some reason, but Jailton went for the takedown, and for some reason he stayed there while Curtis just kept hammer fisting his head, and then eventually just TKO'd him. So it was a bit of a weird knockout. Jailton was fighting really well in that first round. I think that TKO came in the second round. But as we all know, and the reason it probably got moved down is because it typically is a little bit more boring fights. They stay on the ground. I'm still going to take Jailton to win. I'm going to also go on a limb and say it doesn't go the distance at -360. But what are your thoughts on the fight, Jesse?
Yeah, he lost a lot of fan support with that fight against Derek Lewis. He won unanimously in Brazil, but he just kind of laid on top of Lewis for 5 rounds. Pretty boring fight. People have labeled him as the Brazilian heavyweight Khabib, and there's good things that come with that. That's very flattering, but it's also very it implies that he's a boring wrestler at times. Yeah. And that's very much what happened in the fight against Derek Lewis. In the fight against Curtis Blades, the problem with fighting with what he did against Blades is that Blades is also a very good wrestler. And it's when you're a good wrestler who can also strike, you can find yourself in those situations where you're clenched up against the fence and then you start getting punches to the head. It kind of reminded me of the way Alex Pereira knocked out Yuri Prohaska. When he dropped him, Prohaska was trying to hold him up against the fence, and then Pereira started sort of elbow strikes on the side of his head. Sort of a similar way of getting knocked out. I'm looking at the odds. I do think Almeida should walk away with this because I think he's going to be in the title picture in the next year. Plus 140 by submission is calling my name. I think if I were to throw any money down, it would be that. I wouldn't bet money line minus 300. I like Almeida by submission. I also don't think this fight goes to the distance because I think Almeida is just like a superior grappler, especially at heavyweight, which is just, it's such a weird division when it comes to grapplers. If you can grapple really well with these big guys that have trouble getting back up, you're going to have a lot of success. So I could see that being the case and him winning by submission.
Yeah. Shelton winning by submission is at plus 140, so some decent odds there.
It's the best you're going to get. Yeah. Well, in terms of like logical bets, there's some crazy ones there, but you know.
Yeah. Out of his 20 fight, 12 ended in submission, so that's half. But anyway, nobody cares about the prelims. Let's go to that. Let's go to the main card here.
Yeah.
We first up on the card, we have Randy Brown versus Elijah Zaleski dos Santos.
Good try.
Yeah, it's not bad, eh? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Randy Brown is the favorite. When I was looking at the odds, he was at minus 180. I think it's changed a little bit. No, so he's still at minus 180. Dos Santos is at plus 150. A bit of a toss-up fight. I feel like Brown has a 4-inch reach advantage or height advantage. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. Randy should be able to get it off, I think. But yeah, just with his height advantage and the reach advantage, I think that if he sets it up right, he should win. I think Dos Santos really thrives against opponents that are similar to his frame or who want to grapple a lot or throw a bunch of kicks, which is why we saw him get those wins versus Benoit Saint-Denis and Abubakar Nurmagomedov. But I think if Randy Brown does what he's supposed to do, I think he should be able to get off the win here.
Yeah, I'm going Randy. He really knocked Muslim Sadikov into this. Was it Muslim Salikov? Is that who he fought last? Muslim Salikov? I think it was. Knocked him into the shadow realm. Whoever it was very impressive knockout in his last fight.
Yeah.
Randy to win by KO or TKO DQ is a plus 320, and he is a striker all the way, and he has really good knockout power. I think those are pretty good odds if you think Randy's going to win the fight. I also love this thing that DraftKings does, which is they do a double chance bet where you can bet on the knockout or the decision. You can go either way. You have to wipe out submission entirely, which is a minus 150. But if you think it's just going to be a finish, a KO or a submission, you get a plus 215. I don't think Randy's going to get a submission in this fight. I think it's knockout or bust for him, and I would take him plus 320 by knockout. That might be like I might put like half a unit on it if I were betting, but
yeah. I also had Brown by TKO. Just the height and reach advantage. If he can keep his distance, he should be able to find that one sweet punch that knocks him down and then go finish it on the ground, you know. But I got him a TKO.
And I also don't know. I don't know enough about Dos Santos's game to really know for sure what level of a grappler he is. I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more research on that one, but Brown striking it's very, very good. And when you're getting a plus 320 knockout when he's already favorited to win the fight, I think that's pretty damn good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was the first of the main card. We got 4 more fights on the main card to break down, and we're going to break them down, guys, give you analysis, give you our picks. if you got any comments, if you disagree, if you agree, leave it in the comment section. We'll read them out loud. But next fight on the main card, it's the newest fight on the main card, actually, just got announced. Nico Price versus Alex Morono. At the time I was looking, Nico Price, or here are the live odds. Nico Price is plus 210. Alex Morono is minus 258. Price is coming off of 2 losses and a pretty bad loss to Robbie Lawler. Got KO'd pretty bad. I think his loss before that was also a KO. But don't quote me on that. He could beat Morono. Definitely could beat him. I just don't see it happening. Morono seems to be the better overall fighter. He should be able to finish Nico. It just seems like Nico's almost like losing his chin a little bit with how he's been getting knocked out his past couple fights. But who do you got in this fight?
Morono all the way. I think Morono is going to win this fight pretty easily. I think Nico Price, it's funny about that Robbie Lawler fight. I saw some stuff online. A lot of people think that Nico threw the fight. That because it was Robbie Lawler's last fight in the UFC, that he the way that he took the punch, he got dropped. The way he took the punch was he dropped too easily, I guess is what I should say. And the way that he folded, people literally, you can find it. There's like conspiracy theories out there that he threw the fight for
Looks like
Robbie
Cody
Lawler.
Gooch agrees with you in the comments too.
Oh, there it is for Robbie's retirement fight. I think that Nico's kind of washed up. I hate saying it. I just don't think that he's got much to offer. And Morono has put up some really valiant effort against like good fighters like Joaquin Buckley, Santiago Ponzinibbio, some pretty good. He's fought like some really good guys. He beat Donald Cerrone. Like he has some good wins on his record. So this is a pretty easy hammer lock for me. If I were to take a lock on anybody, it would be this fight. I bet on Morono.
Yeah. No, I like that. All right. Next fight, striker versus striker. One of them is stepping up on a short notice. We got Kevin Holland versus Mikhail Oleksichuk, I believe is somewhat how you pronounce
Doing
it.
Great. Doing great.
Try my best here. Kevin Holland, minus 290. Mikhail, plus 235. Holland's coming in on short notice. Off of 2 losses to Michael Venom Page there and Jack Maddalena.
Jack Della Maddalena, yeah.
Yeah. And then Mikhail's coming off of a loss to Michel Pereira, who beat him at 299.
Your boy Cody Gooch agrees with me, by the way. Duck Nico, he's washed. Duck him at all costs.
Hey, last time Cody said someone is washed, it didn't go his way. So
that's true. Maybe I should hammer Nico Price.
So. Yeah. We'll take a rain check on the washed call. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm on the same page as Cody here. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting fight. What are your thoughts on it? I'm pretty 50-50.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 too, because Holland is moving up to middleweight here. He was fighting at welterweight for a while. He's moving back up to 185. He's taking this fight on semi-short notice, and that's just sort of what Kevin Holland does. This is Kevin Holland's job. He has a very unique job within the company of the UFC, where he's sort of just like a hitman for Dana White. He kind of just comes in and, like, whether it's win or lose, he's the guy that Dana White calls when he needs like a short notice opponent to fill in the 170 to 185 range. And it's what's going to prevent Holland from ever really being like a serious title contender, but it's always what's going to like keep him a job at the UFC. He's almost like the middleweight, welterweight Derek Lewis in a way, where he's just kind of like always going to be a beloved figure. I don't really know how I'm going to bet it. Holland feels like a little bit like too heavy of a favorite to me. Minus 290 feels pretty heavy. I still am picking him, but that just feels like those are some pretty significant odds. But I don't know. It just feels a bit heavy to me.
Yeah,
but I am taking Holland. Long story short.
Nice. This is our first disagreement of the night.
Yeah.
This is actually my underdog pick of the night. I think I got Mikhail winning here. I think Mikhail has very underrated grappling, and I think he'll probably use it against Holland a little bit. I also think that Mikhail just walks at a heavier weight naturally, right? He probably walks around 200, maybe 205. He's got a bit of a cut. Kevin Holland probably walks around that 185 mark anyway. He's not much heavier than that. So I think that weight difference will play a little bit of a role. But he's coming off of 2 losses as well. So that's making me feel a little, that's making me want to fade him. The only, Cody says Holland because it just makes sense. Feel good about it, Jesse. I love Kevin in this matchup.
All right. It's fair.
There it is. The only thing that's making me regret not taking Kevin is that Kevin likes coming in on short notice. And I think he even said it in his interview leading up to these fights, is like, this is when he feels hot, is when he just gets to keep fighting. So
yeah,
I guess we'll see what happens. I do have Mikhail though. I think it's going to put Kevin Holland in a little bit of a tricky situation going on 3 straight losses.
Boy, he got submitted. Mikhail got submitted in 1 minute against Michel Pereira in his last fight.
Wow.
Yeah. I forgot about. I remember that fight. Oh, that was 299. That's right. That was the O'Malley card. He got submitted. Yeah. Jeez, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, Holland. He submitted Chiesa. Yeah, Michael Chiesa. I don't know. I really don't know, Adam. This is one I don't want to bet it because I just really don't know. But because I was saying I feel like the odds are a little too heavily favoring Holland, I kind of like agree with your analysis that this is great underdog odds for Mikhail. So like I don't disagree with you. I don't really know exactly who I'm taking. I'm taking Holland because I think that he can kind of like knock anybody out if it's a striking match. But just a weird one for me. It's 50-50 for me. Yeah.
I guess my only reason for fading Kevin here is that like you mentioned, his two most recent wins were against Chiesa and Santiago, the Argentinian fighter.
Yeah.
And there is like just as irrelevant as the guys who Mikhail beat, both guys who have been taking heavy losses. So neither of them have gone like a very relevant win in a long time. It feels like, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but
no, Holland definitely needs a win. Cody just asked if 299 is best card of all time, by the way. People do think that 299 was better than 300. I think 300 is like going to be more memorable, like just in terms of like moments. But I feel like in terms of like the fight qualities, I agree that like it was probably more stacked. It's hard to say. I know 300 was more stacked, but it's hard to say. I think they're very close, but I think 299 is arguably like one of like the top 10 cards of all time for sure. I would say that card was awesome. It was so good.
Yeah, I know it was a great card. A lot of big fights on it.
Plus in Miami, your location makes a difference too.
Massive. Okay, second last fight of the night. Another toss-up for me, but one we'll love to see. Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Strickland's at -258. Costa is +210. They were going back and forth a little bit, obviously during the presser today. They look in similar weight, but I think Costa is pretty massive side by side with Sean there. Who do you have there in this fight?
This is another situation where I think like recency bias of Strickland winning a championship, where the odds are really like heavily favoring Strickland here. The odds makers are assuming that the fight's going to go a very specific way, because Strickland has a very specific way that he fights. -258 favorite against Costa being a +210. They're assuming, the odds makers are assuming that this is going to be like almost like a sparring match, which is what Strickland likes to do. He likes to keep a certain pace in the fight, and he just kind of jabs at you all fight long. Strickland doesn't get finishes. Like, it just goes to decision every time, but he just sort of peppers you throughout the fight. And then by the end of it, he's landed more strikes and he wins. Costa's not that type of fighter. I disagree with the odds on this. I think that they got this wrong. And I think Costa is a fucking phenomenal bet at a +210. I'm not saying that I think 100% think he's going to beat Strickland, but I think that this is a total coin flip fight. I think you could flip a coin and tell me which one's going to win, and I would say, okay, yeah, sure, I agree with the outcome. That's like, either one of these guys could win. And if I'm getting a plus 210 from Costa, after how he looked against Whitaker, he had like multiple times in that fight where he almost knocked out Robert Whitaker. Shit, man. I really like the bet for Costa. And I would actually take that plus 210. I think that's like, I like Strickland. I think that he's obviously one win away from getting back in the title picture. But I also think this fight does way more for Costa than it does for Strickland. Strickland's fighting down, Costa's fighting up. So
I think,
I like it. I like that for Costa a lot.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Strickland's one fight away from being in the title contention, and I think most people argue that he could have just taken a rematch with DDP there as well. So I agree that I think it's a better fight for Costa if he wins. He's probably in that contender conversation in there, because of how hyped up Strickland is. It's an interesting one because when Strickland beat Izzy, he walked Izzy down, and then for DDP to beat Sean, he pushed back a little bit and he was walking back well, right? And so I think that because Strickland has that 4-inch reach advantage, Costa has to do the exact same thing and walk him down. But I think he needs to get the knockout to get the win, because if the fight has to go the distance, I don't think that Costa has it in the tank, especially because we haven't seen it in the past. We haven't seen him have that tank in the 4th and 5th rounds, especially if he's on top of that walking down Strickland, which is going to use up a lot of his energy. 4th and 5th round is done.
This is a 5-round fight, right?
I believe it's a 5-round fight. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
right. That's a good point about gassing out for Costa. That is definitely a factor. No question about it. He gassed out a lot in a 3-round fight against Luke Rockhold, but that was also at Elevation up in Salt Lake City. So you can sort of give him a pass on that. Costa and Dricus du Plessis have semi-similar like physiques to me. Like they have kind of like a similar style in ways. They win on sheer force. They're just kind of like these brute wrecking balls in the division. They could both fight at 205 pounds easily. Like they're not natural middleweights. They're weight bullies for sure in this division. And we've yet to see Strickland's ability to like really handle good grapplers. I mean, I guess he knocked out Brendan Allen, but DDP really won on the takedowns. So I think it really depends on what kind of fight Costa makes this. If Costa can start implementing some takedowns and not just try and like bang it out with Strickland, like Strickland likes to do, turning into a sparring match, I think that the fight over time would favor Costa if he just implements that ground attack more. So
yeah,
this is a close one. I could see it being a very controversial fight if it doesn't get a finish. I could see it having like a controversial judges ruling.
Yeah, I think aside from grappling, I think that the head kick is what's going to play a massive role here for Costa. He
almost got Whitaker with it. Yeah.
Well, so I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Whitaker, Vittori, and Yoel all ate that kick.
Yeah.
So he keeps hitting it. The question is, can Sean Strickland eat it as well?
Because those are the wrong guys to bring up, though. Because Yoel Romero and who did you say before? And Vittori both have incredible chins, like legendary chins.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And Whitaker was almost out on his feet when Costa landed it. So, sorry, go ahead. But I'm just saying, like, those might be bad examples only because they have such legendary good chins.
Yeah. No, my point with those examples was that they ate it. Because you're right. They have those legendary chins. But if he keeps on hitting those kicks and he can hit one versus Strickland, the question is it going to knock him down? How much is it going to affect him? He's got that weird stance where I think it makes him a little bit more prone to getting kicked. So I guess we'll have to wait to see what happens there. But
leg kicks too. If you can get some leg kicks on Strickland, because he's got that straight up stance with the Philly shell where he leaves his legs open a lot. I think that Paulo can capitalize on that, because Strickland really doesn't have much else beyond his punches. He's just really good at that one specific thing. If he can control the fight, that's the way the fight goes. But if he can't, then all of a sudden he's kind of in no man's land. And like Cody Gush just said, 5-rounder, boys, Costa by TKO. I don't hate it, man. I don't hate that bet at all.
So Costa plus 210, I'm taking that. And I'm also taking that the fight doesn't go the distance at minus 150.
There you go.
So those are two of my picks. But anyway, main event of the night, Oh my god, dude! I'm so excited for this one. All the videos, everything's been hyping this fight up so much. It's like, yeah, Islam versus Poirier. It's the perfect story ender for Poirier's career. And then there's Islam in there.
Yeah.
Islam, I think, is like a minus 650 favorite at this point. I think that the odds keep shifting. Yeah, minus 650. Poirier is plus 470. They were talking a little bit of shit at the presser today. Yeah, dude, I'm excited for this one. What are your thoughts on it?
Look, obviously, the good guy on my shoulder, the smart, logical person, my rational, my right side of brain is, I forget, is it left side or right side of the brain? That's the rational side of your brain. Which one is it?
I think it's the left side.
So the left side of my brain is telling me that Islam is just gonna wipe the floor with Poirier. He's gonna control the fight. He's gonna get him to the ground, and he's gonna win. The emotional side of me is saying that I want Poirier to clip him, and it would be an incredible moment. Like, what a moment that would be if he beat Islam, especially after losing to Habib, and being able to finish his career in that way. It really depends on if this staph infection thing is real, because I thought Poirier didn't really stand much of a chance against Benoit Saint-Denis, and then he knocks him out. And then you find out that Benoit Saint-Denis had staph infection and that he was dealing with antibiotics all week. He was really sluggish. It did look today like Islam might be dealing with a little bit of a weight cut issue. He's looking a little thin, but that's kind of normal with Islam because he's a natural 170 pounder. He's not a 155er, so he's always kind of weight drained by the time he cuts weight. I think it's pretty easy for me to say I think Islam is going to submit Poirier. The bets that I'm looking at that I think I like the most are Islam by submission is pretty simple because it's a minus 135 rather than betting him straight up in the money line. Islam by submission. I think that Islam wants to prove a point too, because of this whole guillotine thing that Poirier wants to win by the guillotine. Islam wants to submit Poirier. Well, minus 135, but there's also another bet that if you think it could get past round one, you can start betting him to win by submission in the second or third round, plus 600 in the second round, plus 900 in the third round. So it depends on how deep you think this fight's going to go. I think Islam's going to need a round or two to get in the hang of Poirier, to figure out his range and everything before he starts going for takedowns and he starts going for submissions. Submitted Oliveira in round two. I think he's going to submit Poirier in round two. Plus 600, that's my sprinkle bet. Plus 600 on him to win by submission in round two.
Nice. No, I like your analysis. Shine bright like a diamond. Let's go, Cody Goosh. We put together, well, I shouldn't say we, Jesse over here put together a lovely graphic for us.
We gotta hide that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta hide it.
Technical difficulties. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Everything on paper says Islam should win.
Yeah.
Odds makers
90%
know
90% takedown defense, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, so the takedown defense is wild. Yeah. It's going to be a tough one for Poirier to win. The unfortunate thing for Poirier is that Islam, after getting knocked out, for those who don't know, like Islam's been TKO'd before. And he's got one loss on his record. And since then, he basically just switched up his entire fighting style. He's like almost exclusively like a counter striker now. So he doesn't like push too heavy in the striking. And that's kind of how Poirier caught Benoit Saint-Denis, right? So I think, I do think there's a potential for him to get the knockout and get the storyline finish. I am picking Islam, unfortunately. But I have a few little prop bets that I like. So I like the fight to go over 1.5 rounds at minus 160. Cody Goosh says over 2.5, which is also decent, because I do agree with you where it's going to take 1 or 2 rounds for Islam to kind of feel Poirier out. I do think the fight could end in the third round. I think it's most likely to end in the fourth, which is why I like Cody's pick there. But I also like Dustin Poirier over 20.5 significant strikes at minus 115. That seems like an easy, like little parlay pick. Assuming the fight goes a little bit the distance. I think he averages like five landed strikes per minute as well. So he's That's obviously not against Islam, but I think there's still a chance for him to land those 21 strikes. But yeah, overall, I got Islam. That's kind of the breakdown we have for the main card today.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you really want to, we can close this. But hold on, really quick though, I just want to say something about this. Islam has a better striking accuracy than Poirier, which was really surprising to me when I looked at this.
Yeah.
Islam's an incredibly underrated striker. I mean, really good. He dropped Charles Oliveira. That led to him getting the triangle choke on him in Abu Dhabi. He head kicked Volkanovski, and in that fight, in the first fight against Volkanovski, he head kicked him a couple of times. It just barely missed, but he dropped Volkanovski once with a punch in that fight.
Yeah,
it's a very intriguing matchup. It's more of an MMA fans matchup, like a storyline matchup, than it is like this is the best matchup we could get for the lightweight division right now. We all know this is probably not the best technical matchup we could get. It's probably going to be like Arman Tsarukyan versus Islam. That would probably be like the best matchup we could get. If you want to make a sprinkle, Dustin Poirier, I think he's going to have to win by knockout. That's going to have to be the way. Plus 700 for him to win. Not bad. A little sprinkle, throw a little money down. But plus 2,200 if you think that he can actually pull off that guillotine choke that he's been talking about. I mean, that's the fucking bet of the century. If you can land that bet and you actually make it and you send me a proof of receipt for that bet of an investment of over like $10, I will. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do. I'll think about it later. But that's. I would definitely shout you out because that's fucking awesome. That would be awesome.
Hell yeah. Okay, well that sums up UFC 302. We do have a parlay of the night. We missed it last time, but that's okay. It was the Spain knockout that I think stopped us. Yeah. From the last time we got on.
I thought you were saying we missed it. We didn't do it.
No. Yeah, we did it, unfortunately. But anyway, this is what I got here. UFC 302 parlay of the night. So Makhachev Poirier over 1.5 rounds, a -150. Just mentioned that. I think that's a lock. Holland versus Mikel over 1.5 rounds as well at -145. I think that's going to hit. And then we have Strickland versus Costa and Jailton versus Romanov fights not going the distance. Plus 489, $100 gets you 589.33. That's what I'm putting down. And that was insider betting. Jesse, what are your thoughts? It's good.
I like it. I like the first two. I really have a question about the Strickland Costa thing, only because Strickland has so many fights to go to decision, many fights to go to decision, where I'm like, he's the favorite to win, and he's all, but in this fight, and he goes to decision a lot. So I think his last 5 or 6 fights have gone to decision. So that's the only one where I'm worried about it not hitting. But if I'm picking Costa to win, I think that Costa wins by finish. So I don't hate it. I think it's good. I think that the first two are like virtual locks in my opinion.
I agree. We'll see what happens. This always happens. I add a fourth one in there to sweeten up the odds a little bit, and then 3 hit, the fourth doesn't. It is what it is. We're trying to make some money, but the money's made on our fight picks. The fight picks were killer on. Last week we were at least I remember I was 4-5 on last week's picks. So
I have to go back and look. I don't remember. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope I'm wrong about Dustin though. Let's go, Dustin. I
want Dustin to win. Come on, Dustin, bring it home, baby. We want to see
even if he loses, just go out like a champ, bro. Go out fucking awesome. Don't because it could be the last fight we see him. He might retire. So
yeah. If he loses, I want him to lose like Volk did that first fight against Islam. That's what I'm putting out there.
Make it controversial.
Exactly. Yeah. Make the fans think like you deserve the win.
Exactly.
But anyway, Jesse, I appreciate you joining me today, brother. Insider betting. We'll be back next week at the usual 3 p.m. hopefully, but we will keep you guys updated. Anyways, talk to you guys soon. See you guys.
Peace.